The broad purpose of Section 11D is to encourage taxpayers to conduct research and development in the fields of science and technology. And a further purpose is to encourage economic growth and employment.
So how do you think they've achieved this in the section? I mean, are they quite specific in defining the provisions, or are they fairly broad sort of definitions to really extend it to the second tier type of innovation work that's being done?
Yeah, Section 11D requires that the research and development must be targeted to achieving discoveries or developments. Discoveries generally they're fairly limited and
give a few examples.
Well, it's for instance discovering penicillin and then later discovering further uses for penicillin. Those would be discoveries, where developments would be more aimed at continually improving things and so on. So the two aren't necessarily related, but that's the focus of R&D, is at that. Specifically, they must also be focused at achieving patents, registrations in terms of our Patents Act, our Designs Act, or the patent or the registration of software in terms of our Copyright Act, or the discovering information or knowledge pertaining to such discoveries.
Now, is it relatively easy to bring new innovations where you are, for instance, enhancing, as you give the example of penicillin, where you're now looking for new avenues for the use of penicillin as an example? Is it quite easy to define that new discovery into something which is intellectual property, which would fall within the context of 11D, or is that very much driven by the practical input that takes place in order to get to that place?
Yes, it's more of a practical question on that. The whole aim of 11D is to encourage taxpayers to conduct such research, to try and develop.
So they want to encourage new development.
Correct.
I mean, that's the whole point. It's not just to go back and reinvent something in the past. They want to really stimulate new development.
Absolutely. They want taxpayers to start spending their money to go and find new developments, new discoveries in the fields of science and technology. It's broadly limited to just those two fields at the moment.
Now, just in terms of what would a taxpayer become entitled to from their Section 11D deductions? I mean, what type of deductions would they be entitled to?
The main incentive behind 11D, yes, is to encourage people. What do taxpayers get out of it? They get an additional 150% deduction, and that is the cherry that they're after.
So for every rand that they spend, they're going to get R1.50.
Absolutely, be able to deduct R1.50.
Now, just give us an example briefly as to what type of deduction are we looking at?
Well, the deductions that you're entitled to are, it has to be within the Republic, the research must have been done in the Republic, and it must be a direct expense. Direct expense would be, for instance, setting up a laboratory, the salaries of your research staff. Those are your direct expenses.
What we're going to do, thank you very much for being with us in the studio this week. We're going to continue with this interview next week and look at some more of the more specific provisions pertaining to Section 11D. For those of you who would like to read a little bit more about the interview, please look out for the next Tax Talk magazine. Copies can be obtained by phoning 011 476 5048. Until next week, goodbye.